to another episode with Let's Talk Money. I am Money T.
I'm Simply C.
Make sure you got something else.
Oh no.
Okay.
Ahead.
Make sure you subscribe, like, hit the bell notification so that you know every time we got some new juicy content coming up. Or okay, maybe not juicy. Some good knowledge, some good nuggets, and
childish.
Yeah. So yes, please and share, and help us build this community. We will greatly appreciate it. Another thing is you've got to watch this video to the end, because not only will we be talking about business continuity, we're gonna be telling you guys how to stay safe at home.
Yes.
Like have a plan. And how many of us have a plan with our family if there was a fire or something?
Yeah. So you got to know where to meet, all the good stuff. So yeah. we'll talk about that.
Take it away.
So today we have an awesome guest. Like we said, we're talking about business continuity and how to save your business, or at least try to protect your business from failing if there was some type of business disruption. So today we are having Rachel Deaver, who is a business continuity practitioner. She's going to share all the good stuff and tips on how to protect your business. Rachel is a master business continuity professional. She's been certified by the Disaster Recovery Institute International, which is DRII. She began her career in business continuity and disaster recovery over 20 years ago. Whoa, she started when she was 10, y'all. Anyway, she's been working primarily with the financial industry in Topeka and Kansas City. She's also spent 5 years working as an independent consultant. So with that, she's done lots of things for different types of businesses. So definitely could help you out and give you some information here. So she's done some advising various financial institutions and other industries in United States, Canada, and Mexico. Okay, Rachel, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
We crazy. Thank you for joining us to both of us on a very important topic. And turn my phone on silent. And just thank you. I work with Rachel directly, and I mean, I just love working with her. She's so knowledgeable and a very good writer, and just knows business continuity. So take it away, Tiffany.
Well, first off, tell us what business continuity is and why we need it. Small businesses need it.
Sure. Well, business continuity planning is developing a plan for how a business is going to continue to operate during some sort of a business disruption. And the business disruption, it can be planned, but it's usually unplanned. You could have some warning or no warning at all, and it can impact your people, your IT infrastructure, your physical infrastructure, or even take out your suppliers. So it can be anything from a power outage to severe weather, such as a tornado, cybercrime, active shooters, or even a pandemic, which we've recently dealt with. So the
pandemic.
Right?
Who would have thought?
I know the threats to an organization, they're endless. Some seem obvious to us because we experience them fairly frequently in small doses. But a lot of them go overlooked and unforeseen. And so a business continuity plan can help, especially small businesses, not just survive, but thrive if an incident occurs and really pull ahead of even their competitors. And to go, why is it so important? Small businesses, the Small Business Association reports that roughly 20% of business startups go out of business within the first year. And nearly half don't survive past 5. And the statistics are even worse after 10 years. It's only about 35% make it past that 10-year mark. So there's lots of reasons why businesses might fail. It could be, just lack of money. But it can also, and it can be poor leadership, but many times it's because they really haven't taken the time to plan for those unforeseen events, and they take a harder hit than a larger organization that may have the finances to be able to recover from those a little bit quicker.
I imagine we probably saw a lot of that during 2020.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of small businesses struggled. And if it, luckily there was some SBA loans that helped a lot of small businesses out, and we probably would have lost even more without that benefit. So it's, there's, an example, for example, if a business suffers a fire, insurance might not be enough to carry them through, because not only do they have to shut their doors to recover from that fire, if they don't have a plan in place on where they're going to move their services and operations and continue, they may go out of business just trying to recover that daily loss of revenue that insurance won't necessarily cover all of. So that's a big part of it. And that's just one example. That, like I said, the threats to small businesses in any business, they're really endless.
Yes. So I'm wondering how, and I don't know if this was, I'm just wondering, how can a person or small businesses, do people contract out? Like, how do they even find somebody to help them create this plan? Because I'm guessing that this really, really only resides in large corporations more so than small businesses.
Right. A lot of small businesses don't have formal business continuity plans because contracting it out can be expensive. And a lot of them have trouble just obtaining the revenue they need anyway, right? That's an extra expense. So there is research that can be done online if they have the foresight to do that. Finding maybe a smaller contractor might be a way to do that. Even talking with their lenders and seeing if they have any recommendations on that. There are templates online that you can get that, for a small business that maybe can't afford some sort of software tool, you can just get a template to at least get you thinking about the right things when it comes to planning.
So to get a template, should they just Google business continuity?
Yeah, I would just Google business continuity plan template and find one that looks like, and we can talk a little bit about what you want to look for, but that covers all of those things that you would want to plan for, and really draws out all that information. A well-developed plan is going to contain procedures too, which they would have to write themselves. And it's going to, talk about where they're going to move their operations and otherwise continue to develop and deliver their products and services, and how they're going to contact their people and their suppliers and all of that other stuff.
So I think that kind of can lead us over or bridge us over into how do they get started, and what are the things that we want to plan for? I know they're we kind of go back, here are the top 4 things you want to plan for. And if you can plan for those, then you pretty much can handle almost anything.
Sure.
So you want to talk about them?
Yeah. So really the best way to get started, there's some things that you have to do before you can even start planning. For example, you have to do what we call in the industry a business impact analysis, right? And so that is identifying and prioritizing your business units and really just understanding if those business units weren't available for a period of time, how that impacts you legally. Are there any impact your revenue, your customer service, or your brand, and just prioritizing that and understand, so from most critical to least, how it's going to impact your organization. And then next, you really want to identify any risks or threats that are posed to your organization. That can be man-made, or it can be technological tech, or it can be or it could be environmental, right? So we talk about tornadoes around here because we get them. Or it could be cybercrime. It can be active shooter. So what are those things that could happen to your company? And you kind of want to think outside the box on that one a little bit. And we can't identify all threats because the list would be endless.
Right.
And so what we do is we really all the threats that are identified, you want to think about how will they impact your organization and what's the probability of them happening. And once you have that, you have a good list that falls under 4 real categories. And those categories are loss of infrastructure, loss of your people, your workforce, loss of technology, and loss of your third-party vendor or suppliers. And so if you're planning for those 4 things, it's what we call kind of an all hazards type of planning. And you really want to hope for the best, plan for the worst. So approach it from a worst case scenario, but one that you can recover from, right? Because the worst case scenario is that you can't recover. But thinking that you can, and if we plan for the worst, then you should be able to recover from everything above that. So
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So what about, because I know you've talked to me about this, what about those people that just have home-based businesses?
Sure. Well, for home-based businesses and just even for your own home in general, you want to have plans in place, like even just for your family. But if you're from a home-based business, I would definitely plan for what if your home is inaccessible? Where can you set up work? Do you have a family member's house you can go to? Are you going to work out of a hotel? How does that impact your ability to do business? You really would approach it from the same way. That's just your physical location. So you'll still want to plan for all the same things.
Mm-hmm. And not just being able to pick up and move to another location, but it's also do you have access to your clients and know the information from there, from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't just have all your clients' numbers saved on your cell phone and nowhere else. Right?
That's where I was trying to go. Yeah.
Because if you drop your cell phone in the toilet, you don't necessarily have.
Or your granddaughter drops it in the bathtub.
You might, you could lose all your contacts, and then that could be disastrous in itself. And then you have to email everyone, right? And that looks poorly on your reputation. And that's another thing. And it's part of business continuity, but it's usually treated a little separately, is that crisis communications planning portion of it too, because protection of your brand is very important when you are dealing with a crisis, because even if you have a business continuity plan, there are times where you're going to have outages. And how are you communicating both to your internal base and your clients and customers and suppliers to make sure that you're sending the same message across the board, and that, it's consistent.
You have brought up a good point too about, because we rely a lot on the internet.
Yes.
And our cell phones. And remember, and this happened a while back, but remember when I could not dial out from my cell phone?
Yep.
And how many of us don't have landlines anymore?
Right. We don't.
No.
We don't have landlines. But I also went to this mastermind meeting, and, it's where people just share ideas and business tips and things. And a lot of them were saying that they have their client lists or information for their clients online, and everybody was online. And I just said, that's all great, but what if the internet is down?
Mm-hmm.
What if
Which
you don't
happens?
have internet? And it was kind of like crickets.
Yeah.
In the room.
Well, a good example.
No,
and a good example, and this isn't the internet itself, but if we just look at, was it a couple weeks ago, Facebook had that big outage, and it impacted, was it Instagram and all their other applications as well. And to like casual users like myself, no big deal. It's just, I couldn't update anything, but a lot of people run their businesses through those applications, and it impacts their revenue when it's not available. Yeah. And I think at one point I had seen like the outage wasn't even over, and I saw a quote that they were losing millions, and even potentially into billions of dollars over this period, that one day outage, and so that's just the full gravity of what can happen when there's nothing in place to quickly recover from something like that.
So once we get people to creating these plans, where should they store them? Or how, first of all, we talked about how to create them. Is there a tool that they should use? Can it be just a Word document?
Yep.
And then let's talk about storage, because that's a really important piece too.
Yeah. So you obviously want to store it on your computer, but you also want to make sure that you have a hard copy somewhere in case you don't have access to your computer. And you want that. I typically, for example, keep it 2 hard copies. I keep one that is always with me, and then I have one that is in a safe place that I can get to. And then I store it on my computer as well. If you have a cloud or something, that would be good too. That way, if you do lose your drive, you still have access to it in the cloud. But you want to, if it has sensitive information, you want to be careful about how you store that. But definitely want it in several different forms and in different locations.
I'm the hard copy person.
Yeah.
My husband is the computer person, but I'm like, I want paper. Yeah. I need paper.
Me too. I like to be able to write notes on things. So yeah. I prefer paper. But some of those plans can get real thick. So you have to, when they're it depends. I mean, a larger business, they're pretty thick. A small business may not be so thick. It's really just depends on how many procedures they have, because that part is actually really crucial. When technology is down, a lot of your procedures go back to manual. And a good example is, let's say a tornado hits, takes out your infrastructure, part of your infrastructure, or takes out your lights and your electricity, and your cash registers don't work, your Visa machine doesn't work. Suddenly, if you want to, maybe you can stay in business if you can take cash, but you would have to have some sort of procedure for that, so your workers know how they're supposed to document and keep track and do all of that. So, and maybe, that plan says we need to hire someone to be security because now we're taking cash and we have no way to lock it up, but we want to be able to serve our community. So you just thinking of all the different aspects of that and making sure it's documented so that you're not thinking about it at the time. Because if you are trying to think about how you're going to run your business during a crisis for the first time, you're probably not going to have very much success.
Yeah. And I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the procedures. And when you talk about taking cash, I'm like, not only do you need to be able to have procedures to do the stuff, but have procedures to count the change.
Right.
Why people can't give change nowadays? Like,
because we have machines that tell us now how much to do it.
They are not.
So you need to make sure you have people that can count change, okay?
Right. So, but yeah, it's good thinking manually, which is really hard for people these days because we haven't had to do much of that. And it seems like a long time ago that we did. I mean, a lot of people don't use cash at all anymore. So
that's true. That's true, because my son owns a studio, and I was telling him, don't take cash. Just if they're making the appointments ahead of time, just make them pay for everything up front, and it's a cashless environment, which I really wanted that for him.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. So I was thinking about a tool, and we've already talked about templates and things like that. And I wanted to throw out this recommendation, ready.gov. I was looking at them, and they have some, there's a section out there for businesses, and they have in business continuity. And then they have like some kind of guide that, it'll take you through all the various steps. So look at ready.gov. It's a plethora of information out there for business and for personal preparedness.
Yes, and that's what I liked. I mean, of course, I looked at because I was interested in that part of it. Like, I know the business part is important, and I personally have got to do better.
I do too, and I'm in the business.
With that part, and somebody's supposed to be
set a date, child. Set a date. Put it on the calendar, or don't get done. But before we move on to the personal preparedness, and this can apply for your personal preparedness as well. How often should those plans be updated?
So at the very least, they should be updated annually. If your business has changes frequently, or you have a change, so if you change a system or you hire new people, or if any major changes, obviously you want to do it more often. I recommend at least twice a year, but in practice, at least once annually, a minimum.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those, just set that reminder on your device.
Yeah.
Whatever device that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when you file your taxes every year, review your plan, just something to trigger that timeline,
Mm-hmm.
it's time to do all the things, file taxes and review my plan. So
yeah, that's cool. So now
this girl is crazy.
On to your personal homes, your personal dwelling, and creating a plan for your family.
Yes.
That's got to be super duper important.
It is.
You never think that anything's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
No, and you know what? I would say it is as crucial or more crucial even than your business plan, in the sense that if you don't have your business taken care of at home, you're not coming to work anyway. So how can you recover your business if you're busy recovering at home? And so having a plan for childcare, for food, water, if your electricity's out, all of that stuff. Because if you're worried about your family, and you should be first, right? Mm-hmm. How can you come to work? Right. So especially in something that's maybe a regional incident, or where both your work and home are impacted. So definitely important. There is a ton of good information out, and let me get it pulled up. I pulled it up earlier because I knew we'd be talking, and I wanted to.
One that the Melanie sent was that ready.gov.
Yeah,
for personal make a plan.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they have a lot of great information out there for families, and that they actually have like a checklist, and you can plan template and everything, so you can make sure that you have all that information. And ready.gov will tell you, the amount of food and water you should have stored, and cash. You always want ready cash, because if you're, again, if there's some sort of an outage and you can't use your credit card or debit card,
right?
You want to be able to have cash on you, because could you imagine, like, all the ATMs are out, the banks are closed, and you have no cash?
Yeah.
So, you want to make sure you have something on hand all the time.
Yes, most definitely. And I was talking to Simply I was talking to her about that, and about having a fireproof safe to keep your cash in, to keep important documents in, and they're not that expensive. But sometimes people don't think about it. Mm-hmm. But to have those things, or to have a fire extinguisher on each level.
And even I would say, if you have a fire extinguisher and never used one, learn how to properly use them, because a lot of people don't know you can't just point and spray them. So, there is just learning. And I know the local emergency management areas usually do some community training on preparedness. And then you can find tons of information out there on FEMA, ready.gov, for personal preparedness and for your family. But you bring up a good point too about important documents. And I would say, have your physical documents, like, don't carry your Social Security card in your wallet, right? Have your big documents, your birth certificate, your Social Security, a picture of your driver's license. Take pictures of all of that data too, so that if for some reason it is destroyed, but you still have pictures of it that you can show to prove who you are. Because I don't know, I think most of us have tried to get some of that information quickly, and you can't. So if you have to, and you need, like, for example, you need your social security card to get your birth certificate, or driver's license, you need your driver's license to get these other things. And if you don't have any of it, it can be very difficult to recover that timely. So
that is good stuff.
It is. It really is, and stuff to think about. And then you bring up the also with that, you've brought up too, if there is a fire or we get separated, where we are going to meet to make sure that all family members are okay.
Yeah. Or you want to establish a meeting point.
Yes. And if you have small children, it's so important to have fire drills with them. So they know how to get out of your home safely, where those exit points are. If you have multiple floors, consider getting a window ladder so that they can get out of their window if they have to. Because if your fire starts and it's impossible to get to your first floor, do they know how to get out safely? So I think a lot of times we forget to do those things because we feel most comfortable at home. But that can literally save lives, just having those simple drills a couple times a year, and having the kids practice getting out of the house.
That is so true. Just practice the way you play.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the checklist too, real quick. Something that I think is really important is any medications that you're on. Just kind of having a kit and building that kit. Here's your all your important documents. You have medications if you need them, and just all the things that are about your health, regarding your health, that you might need. So just having a little stash of them that you can kind of grab and go if you needed to get out of the house quickly. Or go to shelter, or if you needed to take shelter, you want to make sure you can grab that stuff and go to your safe place.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that. I mean, we could go on and on when you think about tornadoes. And making sure you have shoes with you.
Shoes, hats or helmets too. Because you have to worry about debris. There's all sorts of things. I know in our basement, we have a tornado kit, and we even have an extra mattress down there just to lay on top of us if something were to happen. Because, you just don't know. and I live in an old house, so I'm not convinced it wouldn't take the floor with it, so I'm just like taking everything down there, all the precautions, and we'll probably never see a tornado. But if we do, at least we have it and we're ready to go there. But even stock, like I'm not a doomsdayer. I'm not going to say doomsday stockpile, but having an extra, some extra food for a few days. Think about your pets. Make sure you have extra dog food or cat food or bird food, whatever you have for pets, because I think that's another one that we forget about is our pets when we're stocking up and we're thinking about extras. And water. You want to make sure you have lots of water, at least 3 days worth of water for each person in the house. So just having that on hand.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think about is the car. Like we're coming up on winter months, and we can have severe weather then. So the blanket in the car, the flashlight. Just those type, some granola bars. It sounds silly, but for real, you don't want to be stuck anywhere hungry, right? I mean, I'm serious.
She gonna think about some food. That's all I'm saying.
But some granola bars, some non-perishable items, just a little kit to put in your car. Your shovel. Just, it's not a joke.
No. And in the winter, you want blankets. Have a blanket for each person in the trunk too. I mean, if you get stuck on the side of the road somewhere, it gets real cold real fast. And you want to make sure that you have all the warmth you can get. They do sell like winter weather kits that you can keep in your trunk that they're not too expensive, anywhere between $20 and $40. And it usually has all those basic things in it. And especially in these states where it gets really cold, I highly recommend the winter weather kits. So your car, there's, and we mentioned like the prescriptions and everything. And I kind of wanted to go back and talk about that for a minute, where if you have like a journal or a book that you could put into a safe that not only lists all of that, but lists your credit card information, all the different insurance informations. A lot of us have insurance that could provide cash relief in these sorts of situations that, you know, if you have something like that, make sure you have all that information where you can access it, and be reminded of it. Because again, while we're dealing with all these crises, we wouldn't remember half the things if we didn't plan in advance. So
That
Very
is so
true.
true. Very, very true.
And then while I'm even thinking about it, with people in apartments that don't think about renters insurance, somebody else can have a fire and you can get smoke damage and lose all your things.
Yeah.
It's very inexpensive.
Yeah. And a lot of if car, like, you can usually tie it in with your car insurance and and get a discount on it that way. Or your, you know, definitely renters insurance. Yeah, it's not expensive, is it? It's like
no, not at all.
$100 a year or something. I don't know. It's not very expensive.
It depends on your credit.
Yeah.
So all these things tie into your financial behaviors, right?
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah, but it could be 100, 120, somewhere around there. You know, it just depends on that, your credit, and probably area, where the location and things like that. But it's not expensive and it's worth it.
And, you know, when developing your personal plan or your business plan, I think it's important to think about insurance too as that mitigation strategy. So like, maybe I can't stop this from happening. And if the impact of it is big enough, it may be worth the insurance. So it may trigger you to take a look at that. And that's why looking at those threats and the impacts of those threats and the probabilities is so important, because you can say, wow, if you know, something hit my, or like, we can do cars. If somebody hits my car and I don't have insurance, I'm going to go broke. Right. So, and I will be without a car. So what, you know, if I get liability insurance, at least it would cover their expenses. Or maybe, you know, can I afford to get it all? And if I can, that's probably the best scenario. So, and really, you know, business continuity, I've heard people ask me, so you do insurance? Because when we describe it, it's like, no. I mean, insurance is, though, a mitigation strategy. It is a way to lessen the blow of the impact. So it is a piece of it, but it's not the whole thing.
Yeah. It's funny, like almost every time you say something about business what are you doing? I'm a business continuity professional. And then you see the deer in the headlights, like, what?
Yeah.
Or they'll just shake their head. Okay.
You know, yeah. A lot of people, I get 3 responses. I either get, so you do insurance? And I'm like, no. And then they'll say, okay. Or they'll say, okay, what is that? And I'll explain. But the biggest reaction I get is, I didn't know that anybody ever did that. A lot of people just don't know that role exists in organizations. And it doesn't in all organizations. I know in financial institutions and a lot of manufacturing, it's regulatory by the government, but it's really necessary for all levels of organizations and businesses.
Including your home. So
yeah,
our home is an organization.
It is.
So there you have it, boys and girls.
Right.
Business continuity.
101. That's 1.1.
Yes.
1.0. 1.0.
That's the quick and dirty version. So.
Yes. I mean, we could definitely dig into this on multi-shows if we needed to, but that's the introductory level.
Yes.
It is really, really important that we do it. We hope that something has been taken or said from the show that you can take away and do some planning with your business. Again, if you want to get a template, you can go to ready.gov and that'll at least get you started. You can Google business continuity plan or planning. And that's it. But very important. If you're not doing it already, you need to go get her done.
Yes.
Rachel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Having you. Yep. Easy, right?
Yes.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, and thank you once again for tuning in to Let's Talk Money.
You can find us here every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you will be alerted every time new content is aired.
Come on, y'all. Tell your mom and them, your cousin them, all of them.
Tell them all.
Tell them to subscribe and listen to Let's Talk Money.
Yes, and be sure to leave us some comments. Chat with us. We'll be chatting live at times, so chat with us.
Hey, remember your money mindset matters.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.